everybody, Mark here at Whiskey Whistle, your wise choice in independent whiskey and spirits reviews. With me, the whiskey dog Rocky, for whiskey review number 242. That is the Whiskey Whistle Whiskey of the Year for 2017 in the category of basic age-stated whiskey. And that is from Canada. This is Glen Breton, 10-year-old from the Glenora Distillery. Oh, you're very, very affectionate today. Yes, it's 43% ABV. It's a single malt. It's a Canadian single malt. Sit down, Rocky. And we'll get it poured first of all. I hope that's natural in color. And it goes. There we are. And, well, I'll let you have a good look at the bottle. It is a short, stubby, dumpy bottle. Kind of matches the Canadian whiskey bottle style. I'll say that. And I've actually seen this bottle design. Where are you going? I've seen this bottle design in some other whiskeys, in fact. So I guess they bought that from a particular maker. Anyway, this is from Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia meaning New Scotland. A little bit of hullabaloo about naming this Glen Breton. But, you know, I think if you are calling yourselves New Scotland, you should be allowed to call your whiskey Glen whatever. There's people who are of Gaelic origin living there. So there's a certain Scottish population. So Scottish origin, Scottish descent population there. It's one of the languages spoken on the island. Let it go. Sorry, SWA. I think I said that before, but worth saying again. Now, we're going to be looking at the color of the whiskey, the legs, then we'll get into the nosing, the tasting, and the finish before giving it a whiskey whistle whiskey score. All right, well, let's get looking at the color. So, what do you see there for color? That looks like a nice bright gold, perhaps something around the 14 or 18 carat range. Very nice. And clear as can be, and I believe it's chill filtered. Most Canadian whiskeys are chill filtered. That's just how it is. At least it's 43% ABV. That's much higher than the typical Canadian whiskeys on the market, with some exceptions. All right, on to, the legs. Let's check out the legs of this whiskey. Glen Breton, what are you going to show us? Here we are. Well, before it totally disappears, you get a bit of legs going on there. Let's try that one more time. What a scent. This is a very strongly scented whiskey. Okay, so they come down fairly quick, and yet there's still some very visible legs going on there in the front, and then you can see it's disappearing. So that's the event there. And again, I see a nice little bit of leftover whiskey hanging up way up there, telling me that, well, it's got a little bit of substance to it. Okay, let's hope that carries through in the palate. All right, on to the nose. It's sweet, it's savory. There is some very, very active oak involved here. What I really like about this is that it's really got a great balance in terms of all the different flavors, sweet and bitter and sour and savory and spicy and salty. So when you think of Chinese 5 spice, why is it called 5 spice? It's not because there's 5 spices in there. It's because it's meant to provide all of those traditionally 5 tastes of salty, spicy, sweet, bitter, and sour. Well, anyway, recently the foodies, the food community, they've decided that there should also be a savory, also known as umami. So this is fairly strong in umami. And if you're used to just straight, sweet, a little bit tart, a little bit astringent type of whiskeys, you may not like that. But if you've got an open mind with your palate, I think this will really make you happy. So, yeah, something kind of like sauteed mushrooms. And yet it's got sugar sweetness on the nose. It's got vanilla, lots of vanilla. I believe this is entirely American bourbon matured, ex-bourbon matured. I should have checked that out. Now, fairly small distillery they've got at Glenora. I think they've got a couple 100,000 liters a year, maybe a bit less. But they also do cask sales, so that's quite interesting. You can look into that at the website. Well, that's the story that I'm sticking with the nose. Bit of vanilla, some savory notes like that sauteed mushrooms that I mentioned, straight up sugar, maybe a bit of apple. Less than apple, more like pear actually. Okay, on to the palate. Cheers, everybody. It's also very potent on the palate. A little bit more fruit now. Again, pears. A little bit of orange candy. So very sweet, but not really that tart, real orange flavor. Mandarin orange, something like that. A very sweet orange flavor. And a medium-bodied mouthfeel. The finish, however, very long, very potent. It's really potent. That carries quite a while, especially the sweetness. A little bit of that savory note, but mostly that vanilla sweetness. Now there may be a bit of batch variation with the Glen Breton 10-year-old, just so that you can check. This is the batch, where are we? There we are. This is the batch that was bottled, or packaged anyway, June 22nd of 2016. So that might be one to look into if you can talk to your retailer, see if they can get that particular release. Because they are a smaller distillery, there is going to be more batch variation. They can't control all the variables like the big, huge distilleries where they have thousands of casks and enormous stills that this one full charge of the still alone would be enough to make thousands of bottles. That's not happening here at Glen Breton. If I were to pick a region of Scotland that this is most alike, that would be, of course, the Highlands. This would be very well matched with distilleries like Clynelish and Old Pulteney. So if you like those, you may like Glen Breton. It's just a real big vanilla event with a little bit of apple, a little bit of that sweet orange I mentioned, and then this savory note that carries through the palate and the finish. All right, let's add some water here. Now, when I'm tasting whiskey, I will always add a bit of water after I've tried it neat. Always. However, at some point down the glass, I may decide, oh, I like this whiskey better with water, or oh, I like this whiskey better neat. And then I'll consume the rest of the bottle in that fashion. Sometimes both neat and with water are very lovely. Sometimes just one is, either with water or without. And it'll be different for every person. For me, of course, well, I do what suits my palate. You should do what suits your palate too. All right, let's check out the nose now with water. It's really interesting. I'm getting Smarties. I'm getting some chocolate also. That's really nice. Milk chocolate, so like the brown Smarties. Especially that point when if you don't chew them, put the Smarties in your mouth, let them melt, and you get to that point where the candy is gone, and then you got this kind of a starch shell, and then finally the chocolate inside. So it's kind of like right at that point of chocolate and the candy still there, and that bit of that starchy sort of taste, if you know what I'm talking about. I get that. Oh, that's really interesting. I didn't notice that before. This is even better now that I notice this chocolatiness. All right, let's taste it. Cheers again. Pretty much the same event. A little bit of that chocolate coming through on the palate. Also, the palate is a little bit drier. The finish, everything pretty much unchanged. Bit of chocolate here in the finish as well. And no, I did not have any chocolate today, I promise you. Now, there are some other Canadian whiskeys that are being made all over Canada. What I mean is Canadian single malts. Now, they're all very good. This one, however, of course, it benefits from age, it benefits from honing of craft. It might also benefit from its terroir, but for whatever reason, I really do believe that this is an excellent single malt. It might be the best single malt made in North America. I haven't had all of them yet, however. Hopefully soon. Now let's get on to the WhiskyWhistle whiskey score for Glen Breton 10-year-old. What's that going to be? Well, it's going to be 90 out of 100. Yep, you heard right. 90 out of 100 is the WhiskyWhistle whiskey score for Glen Breton 10-year-old. Now, what was I going to say? Well, I really look forward to trying other Glen Bretons, because there's quite a few. There's an ice wine finish that would be lovely, I think. There's also, I think, a 20-year-old, so that would also be really great to find. Now, before we wrap things up, I wanted to remind you, if you hadn't noticed, there is now a WhiskyWhistle Patreon account, patreon.com/WhiskyWhistle. So why not join Team WhiskyWhistle? Check me out there, okay? And anyway, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to click to subscribe. Now I've changed that. Now you can see the little disc right there, the WhiskyWhistle disc. Click on that one. You'll be subscribed, and leave a comment, okay? Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching WhiskyWhistle. Be sure to subscribe, and don't forget to give this video a like, and leave a comment down below. Be sure to stay tuned next time to join me, the host of the show, Mark, as I explore more whiskeys with you. Take care now, and we'll see you next time.